So every once in a while, right, the fast break report has to become the asshole report. And I got to come on here and address some shit because, sometimes I think things are common knowledge. And it would appear to a lot of people on the fucking internet that it's not common knowledge. And now I understand why the average attention span has dropped 25% from the year of 2000 to 25%, or to 2015 to 8.25 seconds. Because, honestly, like with the emergence of TikTok and COVID and all these other things, I would say that attention span of 8.25 seconds is probably down to 5.25 seconds. Because, like, there are things that I say that I think are common sense, and people simply don't agree with it because they can't fathom the idea that somebody would oppose that opinion and provide a logical reasoning for it, and just, that's wrong because Gil's right and because Gil's this, Gil's that. Bro, it's not just my video. It's Rusty Bucket's video. It's the people on Twitter talking about it. Like, every fucking top reply, or one of the most upvoted replies I see, is everyone saying, well, you missed the point of it because he's comparing a 21-year-old Ausar Thompson to a 21-year-old Jonathan Kuminga or a 21-year-old Josh Giddey. Bro, it is not even a fair comparison even if you look at it that way. In fact, if you look at it that way and think that it's fair, you're probably a fucking idiot. Like, why would you compare somebody's first 22 days on the job to somebody who's been on the job for 180 days or 200 days? Does that not make sense? Okay? Like, if you applied for a job, right? And in the first 20 days, your boss expected you to be just as good as the guy who's been there for 200 days. Don't you think that's a little unfair? Like, I'm sorry, like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's a hot take, but comparing somebody who's, been on the job for 20 days to somebody who's been there for 200 days, almost an entire year, okay, that's not fair. I don't care how much you don't like that opinion, but it's not fair. Like, I'm sorry, but when Chris Duarte got drafted at 24 years old, do you think the GM of the Indiana Pacers was like, yeah, we're going to compare him to other 24-year-olds, and that's how we're going to determine if we re-sign Chris Duarte or not? Now, granted, we traded Chris Duarte for Obi Toppin because we had a hole at the 4 position, and on top of it, Chris Duarte had lingering injuries, so that's like one of the big reasons the Pacers got rid of him. But most players in the NBA don't develop until their 3rd or 4th year in the NBA. So the idea that Gilbert Arenas would even compare a first-year player or a guy with only 20 games under his belt to people who have been in the NBA for working on their 3rd fucking year is just blasphemous to me. And it's wild to me that people can't comprehend that. Oh, well, Ausar Thompson is not making an immediate impact, and it's not wild to say that, like, if a guy doesn't make an immediate impact, that he has no future on the team. Okay, but the thing is, that was not the expectation. Like, there are only a handful of guys, maybe one guy in every fucking NBA draft. Sometimes you get drafts where nobody is capable of that, okay? Do people not understand that most NBA drafts only have 1 or 2 guys that, like, really go on to be immediate contributors? Like, in this past NBA draft, it was the Scoot Henderson, Victor Wembanyama show, right? Like, those were the guys, everybody was saying, those are the next generational talent guys. Then there was the Thompson twins, right? And everybody understood that they were good, but they needed work in some areas. So, I'm just going to be honest, and I'm not trying to shit on Scoot Henderson because I'm giving him a shot, right? But I would have understood this take a whole lot more if Gilbert Arenas came out and said, yeah, I've watched Scoot Henderson, and he's not going to be a superstar player. Not say he's going to be completely fucking ass like he did to Ausar Thompson, but even if he would have just came out and said, I've watched Scoot Henderson play, and I don't think he's going to be a superstar player. And you know what? looking at Scoot Henderson right now, that's not a wild take. But to say that a guy who has been arguably the best defender for the Detroit Pistons is averaging, 8 rebounds a game, 10 points, okay, is a gifted passer, okay, is, arguably the best defender on their fucking team, has no future for the Pistons. He has no future with them. But Scoot Henderson, because he's 19, okay, and is playing like fucking ass, okay, yeah, he's good. He's fine. Because he averages 10.9 points a game and not 10. You know what? I'm just going to say this, man. If you don't understand that NBA GMs are not running a fucking adult daycare, okay? Like, they're trying to win. Most NBA GMs simply don't give a fuck how old the player is unless they're pushing 40. Okay? Like, we seem to live in a time where everybody seems to think 35 is the end-all, be-all in the NBA. Damian Lillard is going to play to at least 38. Stephen Curry is going to play to at least 38. Kevin Durant's going to play to at least 38. LeBron's going to play till he's probably fucking 41. Okay? Like, Kobe played till he was 40. Vince Carter played till he was 40. And we're really making a stink about a guy who's 20? Like, I'm sorry, but when I hear things like this, when I hear, oh, like, he's 21 years old and he sucks based on other 21-year-olds, that's like cherry picking to find something to bitch about. And I'm not even a Pistons fan. I'm a Pacers fan. And you know what? If the expectations for Ausar Thompson were superstar level, right? And everybody was saying, like, yeah, they're going to be the next LeBron James. They're the next generational talent. I'd maybe understand the take a little more. But nobody had those expectations of the Thompson twins. Everybody knew they were going to be very good. But was anybody saying, oh, yeah, one day they're going to be the GOAT? Like, I would argue the only players to even really be in that conversation in the past 5 years are probably Wemby and Zion Williamson. I mean, the Thompson twins weren't even really projected to be like stars. They were projected to be guys that could be really good and with the right training could become stars. Right? Like, nobody was saying, oh, yeah, they're going to come in and just make an immediate impact on their teams. They're going to come in and, like, I would argue Ausar Thompson is overperformed for what I thought. Like, I honestly thought Ausar Thompson was, like, after I saw the first couple games, like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be that great. But then he plays defense really well. He rebounds really well. Decent passer. Like, okay, he doesn't shoot the three well. But he does it literally every other fucking thing well. And we're saying he has no future with the Pistons. That's the take we're going with. Then we're gonna go out here and try to, what is it? Standing on business or standing on business. We're gonna stand on business on the idea of comparing him to other 21-year-olds. Are you fucking high? I mean, like, yeah, that's our stance. We're gonna die on that hill. That's the hill, Alex. That's the hill we're gonna die on. Okay, we're gonna die on that hill. The idea that a guy who's played 22 games, we're gonna compare him to the other 21-year-olds who've been in the fucking NBA for 3 years now. That argument makes sense. Said fucking nobody ever.